The information provided by Taming Lightning is designed to provide helpful information and to educate on the subjects discussed. The information provided is true and complete to the best of our knowledge and is not intended to be used without professional guidance and supervision. All recommendations are made without guarantee on part of Taming Lightning and affiliates. Taming Lightning and affiliates disclaim any liability in connection with the use of this information. Taming Lightning podcast is supported by the Pittsburgh Glass Center, a non-profit public access glass studio and one of the top glass facilities of its kind in the U.S., with a knowledgeable and friendly staff and a safe, fun atmosphere. Our community is made up of artists, collectors, students, or just those fascinated by glass. Depending on your interests and schedule, there's a class for you, be it a 2-hour introductory workshop, 8-week classes, or 5-day summer intensives taught by artists from all over the world. Taming Lightning is affiliated with the Plasma Art Alliance, which formed in 2017 during the exhibition The Art of Plasma at MONA, the Museum of Neon Art. Their mission is to promote the illuminated plasma in glass as a sculptural art medium, foster public awareness for this art form through exhibitions, conferences, and educational outreach, and support the exchange of information related to techniques and technologies essential to the advancement of the field. PAA will serve the growing interest in this evolving art for the mutual benefit of artists, enthusiasts, and patrons. If you're interested or would like to join, you can find them on the web at www.plasmaartalliance.com. And another note for you guys, the Plasma Art Alliance has started a Instagram page. You can find them at plasma_art_alliance. Additionally, for those who have had questions or issues joining the Plasma Art Alliance, the Plasma Art Alliance website has some issues where it's taking a bit longer for people to get added, and that's mainly due to the load and volunteer aspect of that. Currently, the only active forum for communication is through Facebook, so I do apologize for those that don't have Facebook. You can find us on 2 groups here, one of which is the Plasma Appreciation Society group, which I help moderate, and the Plasma Art Alliance group. Simply find those and join, and then be a part of that conversation for plasma and plasma light art. And before I get going here on the episode, I'd like to mention a support option for Taming Lightning, which is Ko-fi. That is Ko-fi. This will be replacing the Buy Me a Coffee option used previously, and I wanted to switch to something that's been around a little bit longer and worked better for presenting my content. With this, you're basically donating or giving a tip at the cost of a $3 cup of coffee based on how you think I'm doing, and if you like the project, it's nice to support it. Your donation goes directly to the podcast for means of assisting with audio equipment upgrades, billing or hosting, software or services used in processing the audio, and future travel and professional content. You're by no means obligated to donate, but any support, including commenting and sharing, is appreciated. Welcome back, or welcome to the Taming Lightning podcast. I'm Percy Eccles II. I'm the creator and host of Taming Lightning, as well as the emerging plasma tech at Pittsburgh Glass Center, where I'm researching and developing a space for exploring plasma and neon light. Taming Lightning podcast is a series of conversations to help expand our understanding of plasma and neon light, looking beyond its associations with novelty in sign making, and to explore the potential of noble gases as an artistic medium, with each guest sharing their unique knowledge and experience. The intro is Boost by Joachim Krud. Joachim is a Swedish artist who loves to create chill and happy music, and does so for copyright-free use. Be sure to support his music by giving credit when used, subscribing, and/or by donation via Patreon. You can find him on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. In today's podcast, we have Stephen Cole, an artisan of neon based in Melbourne, Australia, a master craftsman of 40-plus years in his increasingly unique skill of glass bending neon in both commercial and art work, who have in the last 3 years came about exploring plasma light art. I was fortunate to meet and talk with Steve at the Glas Plasma Parley, as I heard many good things about him, often assisting at the neon setup at Canberra Glassworks, teaching and promoting neon and plasma. I'm here with Stephen Cole for Taming Lightning at Raleigh, North Carolina, at the Glas Studio. Thank you for coming on the podcast, Steve.
Not a problem.
You came a long way, but you're traveling through the States, right? Just visiting friends and whatnot?
Yeah, I made a itinerary where I started in California, met the people I wanted to meet in California, the people I knew about. Then after a week, I did a stopover in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, to meet up with Blaze Pearson, because I had admired his work over a period of time. And then shuffled along to Raleigh in North Carolina to meet up with another bunch of fantastic artists.
And, Harriet was also in the States. Did you cross paths with her at one point?
For one night, one session of getting together with Michael Fleckner and Tisha, which was a fun night. Yeah, just to chew the fat a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. Harriet's been trying to poke at me to get you on the podcast, just to get a bit of your history here.
Oh, okay.
Can you tell me a little about your history with neon?
Well, although I'm a second-generation neon bender, I still fell into becoming a bender. I was studying to become a manager, white-collar worker. Mm-hmm. My father's boss at the time had an industrial accident where he was electrocuted and hospitalised. My father came home quite distressed because he'd be in the workshop solo by himself. I offered my father that I could come in, make the coffee, sweep the floor, answer the phone. So after a short period of time, a week or two of that, I sat down in front of a cannon burner that they had used to prepare electrodes for cold cathode lighting. He turned it on, showed me how to splice two pieces of glass together, picked up another two pieces of glass that were on the table and said, "This is your turn." Right. After many failures, I started to get the hang of it and started to fall in love with it. When his boss returned from his hospitalisation, he saw me sitting down at this cannon burner, spinning glass, walked over and said, "You look like you could handle this. Do you want a job?" And I went, "Yes."
How old were you at that time?
I was 19.
19?
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to follow my eldest brother into white-collar work, thinking that would be more advantageous for me. Funny thing is when my brother got into semi-retirement years, he came and worked for me for a while. And in his whole history, he never had a day of work with that wow factor of putting something together, turning it on and going, "Oh, wow, that looks brilliant." And then it grew from that to him going and installing signs and that, and then getting the wow factor of getting the clients to switch on the signs for the first time. And they also going, "Wow." It just gave him a buzz that he never had in his working career before then.
And so, thinking about that, in that time, and you're from which area in Australia?
I'm from Melbourne, Australia.
And at that, have you lived there the entire time?
Yes, I've lived there, my entire life.
In that time, how many neon shops are there and compared to today?
I think at the heyday there would probably be 20 to 30 neon shops. It's now down to 8. Probably each is a separate one-man workshop. But we're all busy in a population of approximately 3 million people. So I think there's a scope to actually improve the numbers, which, in my belief, by improving the numbers, we're diminishing our lead time into producing product, which will in turn increase availability for our clients to not wait so long and then look for other sources to replace the possibility of using neon.
In neon, there's been a shift from... Has there been a shift in what type of neon has been made since then?
Yes. Like when there was 20 to 30 shops, it was primarily what they call here channel lighting. It's illuminating plastic signs interiorly. When the LED burst came into Melbourne, it took away 90% of my work in a span of probably 3 months. Sign people at the industry who I worked wholesale for virtually walked away from the neon vendors, leaving us stranded. And we had to find another means to be able to survive that rough period. Most of us turned to actually learning other professions while we continued to make glass. I'll introduce Gavin Tierman, who Percy has to get hold of. He became a electrical engineer, and he's now reaping the rewards of that with his plasma power units that he's now developing. It's going to be a boon for this sort of industry, along with a few others. Nicholas Dean is another. What we're doing here at Glas is actually, in my belief, a beginning of the merging of the two forms of illuminated art, with plasma and neon being able to be combined in one workshop, in one studio. So much so that many of you might know I actually started up a group of Neon for Beginners. I think from today it's going to become Neon and Plasma for Beginners, so that we can grow together.
And that's on Facebook,
That's
right?
on Facebook, yes. My biggest reward left in my career is to hand the baton over to a new generation of illuminated art, glass artists, rather than just neon artists. It's a whole new world out there.
And you have shifted into also adding plasma to your illuminations.
Yes.
When did that come about?
That came about through me seeing a video on Instagram of Oliver Mette, a Frenchman. He had a tree which was roots as well as the branches, and he had it on a Tesla coil disc, and when he was picking up the tree and putting it back down again very slowly, and to actually watch life come into this piece of glass as he moved it around just gave me probably one of my ultimate wow factors. And man, I've got to learn what this is all about.
So the plasma for you has been very recent then?
5-6 years, yeah.
Yeah, that's about the time I got into it as well. So it's kind of amazing, right?
Yes, it is.
Did you find that you did any different changes between your neon setup for your plasma, or do you have a separate manifold like we do here at Glas?
I started with using my neon processing equipment. The main pieces I made at the time were double electroded. I processed them through a neon bombarder, and when I was happy with the product, I actually pinched away the second electrode to form a one electrode unit. Then I started working on the electrodeless vessels before I built my oven and added a manifold system, a pumping system to it. I would put these vessels on my neon manifold but actually introduce artificial or external forms of heating the glass. One of my favourites was to use an electric radiator and get it as close to the unit as possible. And then walking away for quite a period of time and letting it all warm up, heat up, so I could actually, induce the molecules into activity, being far more active, and then being able to be extracted by the pump.
And then I guess my next question, kind of leading into this, is have you been active with any local studios or institutions for glass art?
That's where Harry and I came into bumping shoulders. Richard Wheatner from England was invited to Canberra to help set up a neon studio to complement their hot shop. There is a bender in Canberra who kept turning his back on them. While on Facebook one day, I noticed Richard had posted that he was in Australia and close to Sydney. I messaged Richard privately and said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I'm running a workshop up in Canberra. Would you like to come up and visit?" There was no hesitation in saying yes or no. I then dragged my young protege, Emma Kate Hart, along with me, and we went, met with Richard, watched the class. Harry's going to be angry with me for saying that, but the first word she said to me was, "Stop watching me, I'm nervous." But the thing was, amongst the 8 to 10 students that was in the group, Harry was the one that I noticed that had the flexibility, the aptitude to be able to adapt to neon bending as against being a furnace or glass blower. They use gravity in a far different way to what a neon bender does. Most of the glass blowers were working against gravity in a neon sense, where Harry had just grown with it more or less instantly. We struck up a friendship through Facebook through that. Then she came down several times and visited my studio. A year or two, no, wouldn't be, just over a year after I'd been there, Canberra had invited me to come up and do some workshops. Harry had immediately signed up to be a TA, and it has just grown from there to becoming a great friendship in the artistic world. I admire her work greatly and her as a person.
And so with that, whether it be neon or plasma, what's the thing that you see in the future that's going to keep these things rolling forward?
What I see is the world discovering illuminated art in far more wider scope than what it is now. I myself is going to try and sow seeds around Australia with some institutions to try and get that seed to grow, and for them to bring these wonderful artists in America down under and teach us what they know.
Yeah, that's what needs to happen. I mean, that's how America had got its knowledge, from inviting or bringing those from other places and knowledges into to work with us. And that's how the Studio Glass movement worked. And the same kind of boom can happen in neon and plasma.
Well, the most famous artist, neon artist in Australia, is Tracy Emin, which is, in the pure text of a neon artist, is an insult. We have many brilliant, similar types of neon artists in Australia, but they don't have the profiles that is necessary for them to attract interest in the neon works. There are several major people like Kieran Robinson, whose day job is a lecturer at a university in Melbourne. Most of the artists in Australia need a day job to fund their passions.
And, bringing it back through here, your visit here, which it's amazing that I got to meet you here, of all places. Definitely want to make my way out that way to Melbourne and Canberra area. What are you taking from this 3-day get-together meetup for plasma at Glas Studio?
Well, as I said to Nate, who was the seed nurturer for this group, was that this had been my most mental stimulus, feeling that I had for many and many years, other than my artwork. It has just sparked me up and given me another, boost to myself sowing the seeds.
Well, I appreciate you coming through and sharing what you know. We got to see some troubleshooting in this last 3 days here, and that was really important for people who had no idea, to see what kind of things you may have to work through in the process. So again, I thank you for coming onto the podcast today.
But it was a troubleshooting of a combination of people. It wasn't just one person trying to figure out
something like that
how
by
to solve
yourself.
the problem. Yeah,
something like that by yourself would take a month to figure out.
Yeah, and it was literally the last of the last troubleshooting possibilities that was causing the hiccup. Yeah. We stepped outside the professional or the ultimate sense of creating a vacuum, so that we could give the emerging young glass artists that initial wow factor, so much so that you could see the buzz and their minds exploding with the possibilities of this art. Once the technical issues were solved, I think we've produced many units, including one wow factor from Percy Eccles.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, well, I'll wrap it up here. Any last statements you'd like to leave with us?
No? Oh, yes. To any young glass artist or artist thinking of becoming into neon, don't stop knocking on doors. There'll be somewhere, someone who will be willing to take you on board. Even if they can't employ you, I think there'll be workshops set up all around the place that will give you the opportunity to not only begin and start your exploration, but then have set up stations where whenever you've got a bit of free time, you can come in and practice on your new love.
Very true. The outro is The Process by Lakey Inspired. Jordan, aka Lakey, is a Los Angeles-based artist with the goal of inspiring others to create by sharing positive music around the world. Thus, he works hard to produce music every week for copyright-free use. Be sure to support his music by giving credit when used, subscribing, and/or by donation via Patreon. You can find him on Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Thank you for listening to the Taming Lightning podcast. I'd like to thank Glas and the participants at the Plasma Parley for being such a great host and giving with their time and feedback, and to Stephen Cole for taking the time to record for the podcast. It was thanks to his support and encouragement that I even recorded the Plasma Parley at all. I travel with my equipment in tow, but still hesitate to put out the suggestion. Even with all that I've done so far, I can still be intimidated by the process. But like with anything, once you get rolling, it doesn't matter how you start. Also, I'd like to thank the Pittsburgh Glass Center for supporting me as a place of research and inspiration, as well as encouraging me to pursue this project and to help bring in these artists and instructors to help build and spread their knowledge. And the Plasma Art Alliance, where I have an access to a well of knowledge and connects me to some amazing people. If you'd like to support Taming Lightning, subscribe to the newsletter on www.taminglightning.net or follow on Instagram at Taming Lightning. Other options for support are donations through Ko-fi, spelled ko-fi.com/taminglightning, where you can donate for the price of a $3 cup of coffee. Links will be provided in the show notes. Feel free to share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.